I'm right on the body line. And let's just look down the side of the car. I'm pretty happy about that. Well, that sucked. Howdy y'all. Welcome back to Maverick Mods. Well, this week I'm still working on the front subframe. Getting closer though. Last week I got the new sections of the subframe and suspension doubler plates in, mounted the sheet metal, and basically just to validate some measurements that I needed for the front frame horns. And the idea originally was I could section the original front frame horns that had the mounting points for the bumpers, or bumper brackets I should say, and the core support. Well, I didn't like how that was going to turn out, so, well, maybe you know me well enough by now, I'm not afraid of making my own. So that's where we're going to start this week. In case you need a little refresher, I think it's that, okay, either that side or that side, I'm not sure which. There's a link to last week's episode to catch you up to speed if you need it. So let's press on and let's see what it takes to make some frame horns. In the quest to make sure that I didn't take too much material away initially, this frame horn right here is a little bit long, which is fine, but when I put my supports right here, this support's a little bit too far forward and I can't move my bumper bracket in far enough to get the proper angle. So what I'll have to do is I'm going to have to cut this loose, move it back a little bit, and then re-weld it so that I can cut this back where I need to cut it. And in order to do that, all of the front end sheet metal needs to come off again. So here we go. With sheet metal back in place, one last thing I can check. Notice how that's right on the body line. This is my laser level. I can actually adjust it up just a hair. Let's try that. Okay, I'm right on the body line. And let's just look down the side of the car. Okay. That's good on this side. Let me try and get everybody caught up on what I've been doing here. It's kind of one of those situations where not a whole lot of room to work. Seems kind of weird, but it is what it is. So I've been working on fabricating everything for the frame horns, which will mount the core support bumper and eventually the fenders as well. So I've got the first piece, actually the first and second pieces, cut and tack welded in on both sides. Holes are drilled, and I'll back those up with nuts that are tack welded to the back sides for the bumper brackets. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that for the core support yet or not. I am going to leave the front of the frame horn open. So don't know if I'll just stick a nut in there or actually nut it. We'll see. So next, I'm going to pull the front end sheet metal back off. That'll give me room to actually work, and we'll keep working on fabricating the rest of the front frame horns. Okay, so with the front sheet metal off, we can take a little closer look at what I've done here with the front frame horns. Where I've got inside and outside welded, outside ground, all along each one of the joints. Next up, we'll get the inside plate in. I've already cut, pre-bent it, and we're just going to edge weld and butt weld, get this thing in. So let's do that now. So cue the music. After quite a bit of fabricating, cutting, grinding, welding, regrinding, checking, the front frame horns are done. So the idea behind these, this is just, it was too much work to try and make the factory frame horns fit. They just didn't match it to my satisfaction. So I made my own. They do basically the same thing. These two holes here are for the bolts to mount the bumper brackets. Underneath here for the core support. That's pretty much it. So got them in. Still got a little bit of grinding to do yet. Oh, and the other thing was underneath here, sway bar mount. Sway bar mount up in there. So next up, I will mount the sway bar. I need to, one of about 562 times, I need to drop the motor transmission in place loosely, just enough that I need to figure out just how far forward the harmonic balancer and the pulleys are. So I've got clearance, because this frame as it sits does not yet tie the two frame sides together, except at the engine cradle, which is removable. So in theory, the entire subframe could unbolt into 3 pieces, and I don't want that. So what I've got to do is I've got to get the engine in, figure out where the harmonic balancer and or pulley system sits, where the sway bar sits. Then I've got to get the core support in, and maybe just drop the radiator in enough to see where my clearance is between it and the pulleys, because I want to put in a cross brace that will tie the 2 subframe sides together solidly. So let's do that. So obviously there's nothing in this radiator support right now that even remotely would be considered connectable to the Z28 radiator and air conditioning condenser. But let's just drop it in here, if it'll fit in here, and see what we get. Well, ain't that something? I'm pretty happy about that. I got plenty of room to work with here. I will probably, in fact I know I will, have to fab up some mounts, but this radiator fits really, really nice inside this opening. Gonna have plenty of room on the pulleys. I'm gonna figure out where to put my cross member, and I'm gonna probably just take some tie wraps. Just gonna set this right here for now. I know it can't go farther down because it's resting on the bottom of the core support. So if anything, the radiator assembly will come up a little bit. But it fits really nice in here, and I can fab up some mounts. And this will look really, really good in here. Let me grab some tie wraps or something. Let's see if I can figure out a way to tie wrap this in place, just to let it sit there for now. Okay, that should hold that in position. Good enough for what I'm attempting to do right now. So there's no real rhyme or reason to where this cross member has to go. I just wanted to make sure that it's going to be out of the way of everything. Let's go and look underneath here. I do have to kind of keep in mind serviceability, because at some point in time, you never know, this radiator might have to come back out. Oh, I'm stuck on a thing there. Where am I? Oh, that's, oh, okay, got it. All right. I got to keep an eye on serviceability, because it doesn't do any good to weld something in place and then after that I screwed up and wasn't able to get the radiator actually in. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to see the sway bar has to go here, and there's no way to get around that. But I think what I can do is I can come straight off of here, kind of make a little bit of a angle down, go across, then angle it back up and just tie it right here. I'm going to clear everything on the core support. That's doable. Let me fab something up here real quick, stick it on there and see what it looks like. First try. Okay, so we're doing the first trial fit of the cross member. Now this is a complete, just total guess on the angles. Of course I got to go way up there, but and of course that means I'm way too low. This wasn't even a TLAR guess. This was just a, it wasn't a WAG guess. This was just a total complete guess. And of course I got a little ways to go yet, so I'm going to knock the angle down a little bit on these, and then I can start inching it up. and so I can get my final fit, my final position. All right, round 2. Now what I can start doing is start trimming these pieces to raise it up. All I gotta do is get the angle. Alright, let's see if I can do this three-handed job with only 2 hands. Well, that sucked. Let's try this 3rd time. Alright. Good. Round 3. Getting closer. Now what this is telling me here, I am pretty darn close. I could actually weld all of this together, and that way I can start working on cutting the ends as it fits up, because my angles right here are right. So let's do that. Let's at least tack them in place. That way I can always change them if I have to. Okay, round 4. But slight difference here. Ends are tacked, so it'll make it a little bit easier to move it around. And what I need to do is I need to start angling so I can move the bar forward this way, so I need to capture this angle. How can I do that? Now I really need 3 hands, because this thing isn't going to stick this time. Unless I do it that way. Still isn't going to stick. But that gives me a pretty good that's doable. Alright, let's mark the other side. Alright, I think this is round 5. Okay, what are we on? Round 6? Round 6. Round 7. Backwards. Okay, round 8. Alright, round 8. I believe this is round 9. Alright, what am I at? Round 10? I lost track. Well, I lost track a while back of how many times I've had the crossmember in and out for test fit purposes, but I've got it close enough that I don't need the front end sheet metal anymore. In fact, this front end sheet metal and this radiator are kind of getting in the way, because I'm down to final leveling, final test fit, and then I can weld it in. So let's get the sheet metal off. Alright, so let's check level. Okay. I'm in the ballpark, but be better off taking a little bit more off of here. Well, I went ahead, welded the corners, ground the ends, except for the inside. It's pretty enough weld, I think I can leave it. I did a final test fit, and I ground away, when I primered the front frame horns, I ran out of weld through primer, and just went ahead and used, it's not actually etching primer, it's zinc chromate, which is kind of like etching primer, but that's not really weld through, so I went ahead and ground the primer off. So let's get this guy in here. Get it all lined up. the way I've got this set, it pretty much just kind of locks into place. Just a smidge of pressure on it. Now I'm going to recheck everything one last time, and we'll weld it in place. Still good. That's still good. Just do a visual on everything. And see, that's off just a little bit. Better. Okay, let's check our measurements again. That shouldn't have moved it hardly at all, but if any at all, that's where it needs to be. That's kind of ugly, but that's what the grinder's for. Alright, we'll get underneath this guy. Get two little tacks on either side. I can take the jack away. Measurements are still good. So, I'm going to weld until I run out of gas. How's that? Because I'm at about 250 psi. And I'm not sure how long that's going to last me, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get the whole thing welded on the perimeter. Okay. Gas is still going, so I'll work underneath for a while. We might have lucked into a set of wheels and tires, but I gotta see if they fit. These are, I believe the tires are 285 35 19s. Let me check that. Yeah, 285 35 19s, and I think the wheels are 19 by 10s. Off the top of my head, I don't know what the offset is, so I've got it mounted up, and I'm not turning right now. I think it's because, well, I know it's because I'm really close right up in here, and my little makeshift control arm, I'm hitting on that, which I can fix that, and I'm hitting right up in there. But I think these things will fit with a set of 1/2-inch spacers. And a set of 1/2-inch spacers, remember, I'm going to roll this lip right up here. So I think a set of 1/2-inch spacers are going to put those really nice. So I think we're good on this. Like I said, this is not an obstacle that's can't be overcome. I'm not hitting anywhere else. But I need to check the fronts. So let's get the back off, return it to its rightful owner, and I'll grab the front, see if it fits. Alright, we're checking the fronts here. First off, this is at ride height, and pretty good. I got a little bit of a, yeah, I think that's, I could even go, well, I can't really go much lower. Maybe a little bit, we'll see. Let's move the wheel full rotation. Let's go full lock to the left. Let's see if anything binds or hits. I mean, nothing is hitting in the wheel well itself. Back here, all I'm hitting is my pipe, so I'm not hitting anything else. I'm good there. Alright, so we're looking good down in there. My fender clearance as it comes out here is fine. Okay, one last thing to check, and that is suspension travel. Okay, so here we are. We're at pretty much full compression, at least where I'm putting the suspension travel at. I'm still clearing, now this is straight ahead obviously, but I'm still clearing the wheel well. Let's do some turns. That's about a turn and a half. I'm still clearing. Full turn there. We'll just stick this under the wheel, under the tire I should say. Alright, that's full compression. We're clear. I don't see any reason why it's not going to clear the other side either. And if you look at where the pivot point is, I'm going to do it anyway. Let's check the other side. Okay, now this is full lock to the right, and I still have plenty of clearance at full travel on the suspension, full compression on the suspension. So these tires and wheels are going to fit with no problem. All right, let me get this off and return it to the rightful owner. Well, that's going to wrap things up for this week, folks. Got the frame horns fabricated, sheet metal fits, I'm happy with that. Got the cross member installed, a little bit of welding yet to do on it, but it's there. Just a little bit more reinforcement to make myself happy. So all of that's done, getting really close. I've got one last thing to do on the subframe, and it will be basically ready to remove, sandblast, clean up, paint, make pretty, all that kind of good stuff. Okay, let's talk about the wheels and tires for a minute. I'm not going to say where. I might have lucked into a set of wheels and tires that came off of a 2014 Corvette. I'm sure some of you guys saw that there's a Corvette logo on the wheels, and unfortunately that logo is it's a relief, embossed, whatever you want to call it. It's actually in the wheels, which means that I may not be able to use them because, you know, you can't put Corvette wheels that say Corvette onto a Firebird. I'm working on an option that I might be able to fix that. I might not. We'll see. But if nothing else, the tire sizes kind of correspond. I know that those tire sizes and the wheel diameters and the wheel offsets, with the exception of the rears, are good. So I've got something, a baseline I can work with. All right, enough of that. Certainly appreciate everybody watching. Big thanks to everybody. Please like, share, and subscribe. It does help me out. Everybody, have a great day.